Let's go.
Get your copy of Fire. It's definitely a must-read. If you enjoy hood books, this one is it. Just like the title of the book, it's officially Fire. Get it on Amazon, paperback or Kindle.
The once goal-driven, ambitious Sapphire turns to the street life after the sudden death of her big brother Dre. Dre's best friend Devontae tries to honor his homeboy's last request of looking out for his baby sister. A rebellious Sapphire makes it very difficult for Devontae to carry out his promise.
Bro.Nasir production.
Peace. This is the enemy's public, and I am Bro.Nasir. We must have alternate protection for our people and our community. I will repeat that. We must have alternate protection for our people and our community. Those who we call asking for help are not interested in solving our problems. They're not even trained to solve our problems. They can care less about being a peace officer. They can care less about helping our people or any people, but in particular, our people. I'll just get right to it. Now, war has been waged against us. So we must begin to prioritize ourselves above everything and everyone. If the first law of nature is self-preservation, we must see it in totality, not as an individual. If we are going to change our condition, we must first recognize that there is a need for change. Some of us are content and don't think that there is a need for change. We can see by the conversations that we have. If change in and for our people is a priority, that's all we should be talking about. Peace to my brother Big Dog Philly OG. Peace to my brother Dangerous Music. Salute to you. If change in and for our people is a priority, that's what we should be talking about. While we're going down memory lane and having a daily history lesson and arguing about non-pertinent information somewhere in the United States, we are falling a victim to this wicked, racist society. We should be able to rely on each other instead of calling our open and consistent enemy to come and not resolve our issues. Regardless to what agency we call, we are calling our enemies to deal with our issues. Someone who hates and despises us. Someone who will arrive in a hostile manner, hoping to escalate and turn the situation into a violent encounter. As a public servant, our enemies hate the very ground that we walk on. It's about control, compliance, and outright tyranny. So we must, as a community, take our community. We must become the vanguard of our community. Those who are put in charge pay with our tax dollars, collect the paycheck, while abusing and murdering our people. Whenever we call an agency for service and that agency serves to our detriment, whenever we call for help and the help ends up being the ones to harm us, that's more than problematic. Billions are being spent on our detriment. The police are a occupying force, especially when the rank and file or cowardly but arrogant sociopaths, psychotic, racist demons. Most of these demons take the job to exercise power over people, and if they can't, they will inflict pain. Inflicting pain is a plus. Killing one of us is an incentive. Race soldiers, when they patrol or on a hunt, we are game to most of them, like hunting deer, elks, and bears. Every fall in my state, there's a bear hunting season. They tell us that it's because of the population of the bears, but I know, and you know better than that. These murderous demons have to ritualistically get a kill annually. They must kill. It's in their very nature. They delight in the shedding of blood. To those of us who are into America's politics, while knowing the track records of both candidates, do you really think that you are voting in your best interest? Do you really think that any of them, Harris or Trump, will serve to our best interests? If so, what gives you that mindset? What have any of the two candidates done to suggest that they will serve to our best interest? Both were in the White House. Donald Trump was in the White House for 4 years. Some of the ignorant among us said that Trump would do more for us because he gave us $1,500. He gave us $2,000 in, stimulus checks. Some of these Negroes are bought and sold cheap as hell. Now, one of the candidates has a track record as a white supremacist. The other has a track record as a white supremacist who sort of look like us. Yet she is not one of us. Some women, in particular our sisters, want to see a woman as president. I'm going to tell you straight up, yet not any woman would do. Kamala Harris uses negative stereotypes to relate to our sisters, though most of our sisters do not reinforce negative stereotypes of Black women. They're upstanding about their business, about their family, their husband, their children. That's what our sisters are about. So we need to close ranks as a people, stop arguing over microscopic, mediocre BS, and handle business as a people. If not, what's happening to us is just the beginning. In all honesty, whatever's in our community is allowed by us, even racist ass cops, even people who we call into our house for help, and they come in and they do harm to us or worse. Now, again, to me, my sentiment is it's our fault because we must have alternate protection for our people. We know the sentiment of so-called law enforcement. They've been doing it. They have been showing us what they're about for years. And some of our people, it actually has to happen to them in order for them to realize that it could happen to them and will happen to them. Other than that, they could care less. But once it happened to a member of their family, then they see that it can happen to them. Now, what we need to do is we need to organize. The brothers first need to organize amongst the brothers. We'll bring the sisters in later. But the brothers need to organize first to form organizations that our people can call when they're under duress and stress and there's an emergency around their homes. It's better to call what the police will call or what the military will call a friendly than to call people you know that's going to come and do harm to our people. That's just backwards, and it makes no sense for us to keep doing that. Now, I've seen it done. I've been involved in it. So what we need to do is revamp SOC. SOC is an acronym to things we need most. It's an acronym for things that we need most. We need to save our community. We need to save our children. We need soldiers on call. We need to share our concerns. That's an acronym for things that we need most. And if we, brothers and sisters, were to organize, strategize, and deputize, no one's going to change our condition because it's our condition. Peace to my brother, T. Wriggles. Thanks for tapping in. No one's going to change our condition because it's our condition. Others seek what they can devour, and they seek to keep us in the condition that we're in because they think it's natural for us to be on the bottom and them be on top. Now, today, I'm letting our people know we should not call the police. And I'm going to show our people why. Some of the videos I'm going to show you, it's going to make you upset. You think our sister, though it was horrific, Sonia Massey, the video was horrific because we had a sister under stress and men twice her size took advantage of her and subsequently murdered her. Took advantage of the fact that the sister was under stress. And I don't like that. And I'll tell you this, if there was a man in that house with her, he could have gone outside and checked around the house and see if there was a prowler around the house. Or if it wasn't her man, she could have, we had organizations, she could have called one of us to go and look around her house and to assure her the safety. Yet she called worse than prowlers into her home. The wicked demon actually asked her, was she the only one in the house? And he set her up. He set her up. He set the sister up. He's the one who told her to go take the pot off the stove in the first place. But when she go over there, he act like he's scared. Straight up. The sister poured the water out. Some people trying to show a picture of a pot up. There's no way she could have held that pot up with water in it without scolding her damn self the way that pot was held up, trying to justify the cop shooting the sister. Peace, prosperity to learning and building. Now, I agree with my brother, T. Wriggles. They do ritualistic killings. Like I said earlier in the stream, these wicked demons have to ritualistically kill annually. This is why they have hunting season. Though some hunt us all year, but they have a organized, state-sanctioned hunting season where they'll hunt deer, bears every year. I know in Jersey they do. Every year. Because they know these wicked demons must kill annually. They have to have a kill. They have to get that out their system. They're talking about the population of the bears and all that. No. The bears deserve to live too. It's not like they come out and they bother people. They may turn over your garbage can, and if you get too close, hey, you can't even get that close to me without me putting my paws on you. So it's the same thing. But they have to kill. It's in their very nature because they delight in shedding of blood. Now, some of these videos that I want to show is rather upsetting, and it proves my point that we should never call the police. They're not here to help us. They're just not. Oftentimes they hinder. They turn a simple encounter with us into a deadly encounter. And that's their mission in the first place. I'm going to start off with the police shooting and killing a suicidal man in Waukesha.
Police in Waukesha shoot and kill a father they say was suicidal. Police say the man pointed a gun at an officer, and that's when two officers fired several shots. As Ann Sterling shows you, one neighbor says the father was upset because he wanted to talk to his daughter on Father's Day.
The shooting happened right here on Sunkist and Pleasant View. Police say a woman called saying there was a man in the backyard. He had a gun and he wanted to kill himself.
I heard his wife start yelling, "Don't do it, don't do it. They want you, that's what they want you to do." And all of a sudden, bullets just started firing in every direction, it seemed like.
That's what Steve Fons heard just after 8 o'clock last night. He lives on Pleasant View Avenue, one street over from where the shooting happened.
The whole thing was about his daughter. He's all upset about his daughter. Something went wrong, and she won't talk to me. She hates me.
Police tried negotiating with the man for more than an hour, but they say he wouldn't listen to their commands. And that's when two officers were forced to shoot.
Boom, boom, boom. I had one big bang, and then all of a sudden a bunch of pops.
Flight for Life was called to the neighborhood, but the man died before he was taken to the hospital.
Also, I just heard him in the background just yelling and complaining about his daughter. All I got to talk to my daughter. It's Father's Day, for God's sakes. Get me a charger.
I lived here 12 years, so this is the first time anything like this has happened, ever. It's shocking.
The State Department of Criminal Investigations is now leading this investigation. Police say the two officers involved in this shooting, their experience ranges from 1 to 5 years. In Waukesha, Ann Sterling, today's TMJ4.
The officers involved have been placed on administrative leave during the investigation, which is policy.
Now, the police, they say, oh, he had a gun and she had a gun. In some states,
former LA County Sheriff's deputy has been charged with the fatal on.
In some states, people have gun permits and they're able to carry guns. So I don't like when people say, well, he or she did have a gun when they encounter the police. Having a gun alone does not constitute or justify a cop shooting someone. It doesn't justify it. So when people say, well, that person did have a gun, we need to cut that narrative out, because it makes the cop not guilty when he commits a crime just because he see a man or woman with the gun. He feel that person not supposed to have it. He's the only one supposed to have the gun, and he shoot and kill somebody for merely just having a gun.
Duty shooting of unarmed 24-year-old Ryan Twyman. Twyman, who was...
Now, we don't even have to have a gun in order to be murdered by these bastards. They will kill us running away from them. They'll kill us running away from them, fleeing them. They'll shoot us in the back.
Who was under investigation, was sitting in a car in Willowbrook in June of 2019 when officers walked up, opened up the back door. The LA County DA's office says 37-year-old Andrew Lyons is set to be arraigned on one felony count of voluntary manslaughter and 2 counts of assault with a semi-automatic firearm. Lyons is accused of getting his rifle and shooting into the car after it stopped moving.
These are wicked people. Now, I'm going to go to another video where the police kill a suicidal man.
An investigation continues this morning after Smyrna police shot and killed a 27-year-old man at an apartment complex near Truist Park. Police say they were called out to the Edison Apartments on Saturday for reports of a suicidal man. They say officers tried to calm him down until he pointed a gun at them. The GBI says an officer shot the man. He was taken to the hospital where he died. No officers were hurt.
That's their plan, because they just, they say, okay, I feared for my life, and they concentrate on officer safety. The police never concentrate on public safety. They concentrate on officer safety, and officer safety is straight cowardice to me. Public safety is heroism. I always say the real heroes are firemen. People running out of fire, and these people go back and forth into a fire to get people out of fire. The police, when it's really time for them to get down, an 18-year-old kept the police at bay in a school while he killed children and teachers. That's how much of a coward the cops are. But they'll kill you in your own home. They'll kill you unarmed with no weapons. They have extra clips, and then you got an overzealous cop. He may have a tactical vest on with probably 6 clips on him, 2 clips on his belt, extended magazine in the whole 9, because that's his intention, to kill somebody any chance that bastard get.
And we begin with breaking news. In the past hour, we learned that a Dallas police officer has taken his own life.
Yeah, this happened Tuesday, just one day after he was involved in a shooting that left the suspect dead. Tiffany.
Everybody can't live with this. Everybody don't have this cold, heartless sentiment. Some people, even if the shooting is justified, they'll probably be remorseful and they'll probably feel bad. And some cops actually take their own life after they take a life.
Tiffany Liu is live in our newsroom with more details and context on this developing story.
Yeah, Chris and Izzy, this is what we know now. The shooting happened on Monday. Sources tell us the U.S. Marshals Task Force was serving an arrest warrant that morning at an apartment complex on Tyler Street in Dallas. Mesquite and Dallas police were assisting, and DPD officer Matthew Bacon was there. Police say the murder suspect they were after pointed a firearm toward the officers. Bacon was one of 4 who fired his weapon at the suspect. Police say a suspect weapon was recovered and the vehicle was reported stolen, but because it was a U.S. Marshals case, no officers were wearing body cameras due to a federal memorandum of understanding. Dallas PD says in an effort to be transparent, they released available surveillance video. You can't see or hear much of what happened, but that's all that was released this afternoon within the last hour. Now, we know the suspect died at the hospital, and then a day later is when Officer Bacon died by suicide. WFA received an internal memo that the chief sent out to officers. It said Officer Bacon was an 18-year veteran of the Dallas Police Department.
Everybody can't live with this after they take a life. Everybody can't. But some of them, they go to bed and they sleep like babies after they take a life. We're going down to Jacksonville, Florida. The body cam footage of Jamie Johnson shooting in Jacksonville, Florida.
How you doing, sir?
21st and Parkman, Mike, 3
All right, so you didn't have a seatbelt on. I know you probably put it on later, but...
Hold up.
Now, this body camera footage revealed a lot about the moment.
Pardon my technical difficulty, but this is a shooting. What's crazy about this encounter in Jacksonville, which is crazy. Now, this man was pulled over for not wearing a seatbelt, okay? For not wearing a seatbelt. How can you pull a man over for not wearing a seatbelt because you're worried about his safety when he was better off speeding at 100 miles an hour on the highway? He was safer doing that than an encounter with the cops because the cop ended up killing him over his seatbelt.
How you doing, sir?
21st and Parkman, Mike, 3
All right, so you didn't have a seatbelt on. I know you probably put it on later, but you didn't have a seatbelt on when you came out onto that road over there. That's fine, no biggie. Sorry about that. Nah, no problem, man. You got your ID on you, man?
Phoenix and 11th.
Awesome. This car registered to you?
My mom.
Okay. You still live in Palm Coast or?
No, sir. I was actually.
Okay. So you live
in Tallahassee.
in Tallahassee?
Yeah.
Okay.
Phoenix and 11th. Kilo Zulu Echo
Okay,
Bravo.
gotcha.
I rode back with my family. I just left my graduation this past weekend.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Why are you so nervous?
Tag was 1054.
Peace to my brother, Voodoo Child. Salute.
Scared of police. I haven't been pulled over in Jacksonville the whole time I lived here, so this is.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, I mean, you don't have to be that nervous. So you got anything in the car or anything like that crazy? Because, I mean, I can tell you that you, just by your mannerisms, you're doing
All of a sudden, these people become experts in everything when they become cops. Speaking about mannerism, the way they move, the way their eyes are, and everything. Then they start making a suspect out of them automatically. But this is supposed to be a seatbelt charge. Now, if you stop me because I didn't have a seatbelt on, give me a ticket for not having a seatbelt on and move on.
doing all this, like, a lot of wild stuff that you weren't even, what I mean by wild, I mean, and here's what I mean, is that you're doing a bunch of movements that make no sense to what I want you to do, which is just find your ID. You know what I'm saying? You keep reaching and moving. So what you looking for, man?
I was looking for the registration.
I don't need your registration. No. So, do you have anything in the car at all?
Yes, I actually have my firearm.
Okay, that's fine. Well, hop on out for me. And,
can I grab the receipt for my firearm?
No, I'll get all that in just a second. I want you reaching. Where's it at?
My jacket.
In your jacket? All right, hop on that for me.
The receipt is right there.
That's fine. I'll get it in just a second. Turn that way for me.
No problem.
Oop. There you go. That way. You got anything else in the car at all? I see like weed flakes flaking off of you.
No, sir.
We just got to roll in the blunt?
No, sir.
Okay. Why you smell like the way you smell?
I actually was smoking hemp.
Okay. You smoking hemp?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You got anything else in your car at all?
No, sir.
Nothing illegal?
No, sir.
You sure?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You mind if we search your vehicle?
No, sir.
You don't mind?
I do mind. There's nothing, no reason to search my vehicle, so I have my legal firearm. That's about it.
Okay. That's fine. Well, given the fact that you stay still.
I'm sorry about that.
Given the fact that you had marijuana flakes come off your shirt the way they are, okay, that's a no-no because you don't have a marijuana card, do you?
No, sir.
Okay.
But I know that hemp is illegal in the state of Florida, sir.
But that wasn't hemp that you had flicking off of you.
It was, sir.
Okay. Well, that's fine. So you have nothing else on the car at all?
No, sir.
Okay. What kind of firearm do you have in your car?
A Glock 26.
Where is it at?
In my jacket, located right there inside of the jacket.
Okay. You have a concealed weapon permit?
No, sir. It's in the jacket, concealed. Well, it's in the jacket. According to law, doesn't it have to be? I know it has to be put away when it's inside of the vehicle, and it's away inside of my jacket, inside of the vehicle.
So is it in the holster?
It's inside of the jacket.
No. So that
the jacket's away.
Nope. So what it means that in the state of Florida, it needs to be either in a glove compartment locked away in a holster, or it needs to be in another locked compartment inside of a holster legally to be able to possess it legally in a vehicle. Unless you have a concealed weapons permit, then you can carry it any way you want to. Reason being the concealed weapons. Okay. All right. So by you carrying a firearm in a legal fashion, you know what I'm saying? It's not good. So I'll get the paperwork for your firearm.
Can I grab my phone?
Yeah, you can grab it. All right. So let me get the paperwork so I can see if your serial number's on there, ring your serial number, all that kind of stuff. Put you in the backseat of my car. Okay? So you don't skedaddle on me. Sound good?
Yes, sir.
All right, come on.
Can I walk by myself, please, sir?
No. I'll hold on to you.
Can I grab my ID?
Nope. Leave it right there. Okay. Yeah, you good, grab it. So, you get the paperwork so I can see if your shit was on there. Bring the serial number on, pass up. Put you back to my car. Okay? So you don't skedaddle on. Sound good? Start, come on. Can I walk by myself, please? Oh, I got my ID. Yep, do right there. Okay, do right there. Hey, speed 1033. Shit. Brendan, you just here now. There's huge shots fired.
Now that situation was over. How are you gonna walk up on the car after he take off and stop and just open fire? That makes no sense.
Please don't let me die. Please don't let me die, sir.
Don't grab that gun.
My hands are up. Please, sir.
Where's the gun at?
I don't have it. My legs are up. My legs are up. I can't breathe.
Where's the gun at?
I can't breathe. I'm dying, sir. Please help me.
Where's the gun at?
I don't want to die. My legs
608. Channel 18 2 JSO or by JSO?
By JSO.
I pray to God I don't die.
10-4,
You good?
rescues are out.
You good? Stop reaching, please.
Sir, please look at me.
Alright, so check it out.
Page 732. Send everybody you have. That's not on the call. And I'll advise anybody else. Stop moving!
10-4, all 1051.
Stop moving! And Bucky.
Shoot. Shoot.
They shot him. Back.
I'm dying.
Vehicle. Sorry, 7. They try to rope off as much of the scene that we can. And get a couple more units here so we can get the suspect detained. Get some treatment.
Let's first check. 1600, 1097. 1600.
We're good. He shot. We're good. Since I was with him.
They have 2 officers on the scene, and none of them is trying to render aid to the person they shot. They just letting him bleed out, and he's telling them that he can't breathe, and they don't even care.
With him. Okay, you're good. All right. We need somebody get up here and detain this suspect.
1600, 732.
Hey, I got it. Turn over. Turn over, bro. Turn over.
How the hell is he going to turn over when he shot multiple times? Stop being a fucking coward and go over there if he need to be turned over. You got your gun pointed at him, but you're scared to walk up. You're about 20 feet away from him after shooting him, and you're telling him to turn over when he has holes in him. Cowards.
Hey, once we get him to here, let's move on this guy. Get him detained before we do anything else. Here, you're on. All right, go. I got the car.
He don't want to holster that weapon for nothing. He keeping him at gunpoint.
610, can you advise for the suspect, channel 18 out?
Looks to be in the side. Somebody get a trauma kit or something. Get a med kit. Hey, you're with it. Turn that off.
Please. Drop that game.
I lost my bike.
I'm dying.
Somebody bring me some gloves.
Exactly, my brother Voodoo Child. If none of the candidates is not talking about stopping police violence against us and recognizing that the police are targeting us and consider us a protected class of people, like those who victimize us are considered a protected class of people, they're not hearing that. I mean, they're not saying shit that we want to hear, and we shouldn't be voting for nobody. But some of these Negroes are bought and sold so cheap. I heard a punk say on one of these platforms that he's voting for Trump because Trump giving us $1,500 stimulus checks, $2,000 stimulus checks. So that is all your virtue is worth. It's all your people's life is worth. $1,500 stimulus check, $2,000 stimulus check. Some of these Negroes, brother, is not even worth breathing oxygen. Gonna move on to the next video. And new release dispatch record detail.
Now, this body camera footage revealed a lot about the moments leading up to Massey's death, but the family still had plenty of questions about the chaos that followed.
Yeah, we need to stay on this. Our sister was murdered in her own home by a punk who set her up. Sean Grayson, when he arrived at this stop, he was hostile from the beginning. And he set the sister up. He's the one. I'm going to show you something that nobody ever talked about. I think I'm the only one who said it. But I'm going to show it to you.
Multiple family members said they could not get straight answers from the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office about what happened that night. They were not told it was the deputy who shot Massey until days later. And in some cases, they were led to believe it was an intruder who shot her or that Massey shot herself. Our Capitol Bureau Chief Cole Hinkey is live outside in the Capitol newsroom. Cole, you learned today about how that misinformation spread.
That's right. Tonight, I obtained scanner logs from that night, and the audio from these phone calls shows a breakdown in communication between the Sheriff's Department on scene and the Sangamon County Dispatch. All of these recordings were obtained through a Freedom of Information Act request from the Sangamon County Dispatch.
911, what's the address for your emergency?
2868 South Hoover Avenue.
What's going on there?
I keep hearing stuff on the outside of my house, and it sounds like somebody was banging on the side of my house. I don't know. I wish I come and see.
That's Sonia Massey calling for help. New dispatch logs obtained by WCIA tell the story of why she called deputies to begin with and the chaos that ensued after she was shot.
Hi, is it Sonia? Yeah, I got the Sheriff's Department here, but I was calling for help from y'all.
From there, the body camera footage released on Monday shows what happens next. Two Sangamon County Sheriff's deputies respond to Massey's home. Within minutes, Deputy Sean Grayson shoots Massey in the face after she moves a pot of hot water from the stove.
I'll shoot you in that. You better not. I swear to God, I'll shoot your face. Okay, I'm sorry.
Drop the pot! Then hear Grayson and the other deputy yell shots fired.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
The dispatch logs show more.
Headshot wounded a female. Headshot wounded a female. 1078.
Grayson asks if there is a history of mass. Massey being a, quote, 1096.
Any call history for being 1096?
He's asking if she's been a call involving mental health issues before. After that, a dispatcher can be heard asking to confirm if the gunshot was self-inflicted, but you can't make out the answer from deputies.
Just confirm self-inflicted.
But the confusion doesn't stop there. A different member of Sangamon County Dispatch calls state police.
We don't actually know what happened. He just screamed shots fired. Somebody heard.
Now, if you look at when he fired the shot, part of my technical difficulties, I was muted. What I was saying was when he stepped out from the island to take his shot, he stepped into his partner's line of fire. It could have gotten himself shot. If his partner would have fired a shot, his partner would have shot him in the back because he stepped from behind his protection. He was about 15, 20 feet away. There's no way she could have thrown the water and hit him if she did throw the water, but she didn't throw the water. She poured the water out. And the way she had the pot was protecting her face. But some people's trying to say, well, she did throw the water because she had the pot in her hand when she dropped down like to her knees to avoid being shot. But what I'm saying is this devil really wanted to shoot her because he stepped in the line of fire of his partner. And if his partner would have fired a shot, his partner would have shot him in the back.
One of the dispatchers heard the gunshot, said a female shot in the head. We don't know if she shot herself or a deputy shot her. Or what, yeah.
But then she gets new information.
They're now saying self-inflicted.
Dispatchers continued to struggle to get information about what happened. A call between dispatchers and a supervisor who hadn't been in the building all night shows they still did not know the circumstances of the shooting 3 hours after Massey died at the hospital.
Which is crazy about now somebody else should be in some trouble because if this is the case, a supervisor responded. I have a longer video. I'm not going to play it today, but I played it before and I showed it in its entirety. A supervisor came to the scene and the supervisor asked him, so where's the gun? She's shot on the floor, bleeding out. Where's the gun? He said there was no gun. It was a pot of hot water, boiling water, which is not, a justification for shooting the sister. So 3 hours prior to him shooting her, people are saying that an intruder did it. An intruder did do it. The cops were the goddamn intruders. An intruder did do it. They got that part right. Because once they checked the sister's property and found that there was nobody on the property, they could have said, well, look, ma'am, what's your name? At the door. Not coming in her house, prowling, being an intruder in her house. They could have asked her at the door, what's your name? Take her name down and say, well, if you need us, call us back and we'll come back. But they're not there for service. They wasn't there for service. They came to do exactly what he did. And this man killed the sister. First they said it was an intruder, and then they said it was self-inflicted.
So just had maybe an officer-involved shooting?
Okay.
We don't have any info, and nobody will tell us, which is really fun.
After Grayson shot Massey, he can be seen on body camera footage offering up what he said happened to deputies in the area.
What else do we do? I'm not taking hot boiling water to face. I think she set it up on purpose. I have choice.
Members of Mass.
She didn't set it up on purpose. He set her up on purpose because he's the one who told her to go take the water off the stove because he didn't want to be in a fire on top of responding to her call.
Massey's family were not exempt from the chaos that night. Jimmy Crawford.
Greetings to my sister, the true daughter of darkness. Thanks for tapping in, sis.
For Junior, the father of one of Massey's children, said he views it as an attempted cover-up by deputies.
How do you get confused with you saying I shot her or she shot herself? To me, that's a cover-up from the get-go.
Crawford arrived at the scene that night. He said officers didn't tell him that it was a deputy-involved shooting.
When I got to the scene, the officer notified me that it was under investigation, and we knew that she had problems with her neighbor. Not once was I told that the officer did it.
Massey's son, Malachi Hill, learned his mother was shot from St. John's Hospital and not the police.
They would never tell me who shot my mom, though.
And it all became one more reason that Massey's father, James Wilburn, is calling on Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell to step down.
I'm calling for the sheriff's resignation because I think it's a culture to treat this family this bad, to call these lies. If it were not for that camera footage, we as a people, they would have lied and they'd have lied their
Salute to my good brother, Drake Cobb's music. Thanks for tapping in, good brother.
way right out of this.
Now, I'm going to go back a little bit. This is a culture, so I have to expose it in its entirety. If you think that Sonia Massey's shooting was terrible.
We turn now to Dallas, where a former...
If you think that Sonia Massey's shooting was terrible, you know, you got Botham John, a female cop walked into his house, shot him while he ate ice cream and watched football. Then she said that she thought she was in her apartment and he was an intruder sitting down, eating ice cream and watching football. That's what intruders do. I'm going to break in somebody's house, get me some ice cream, and watch football. She knew it wasn't her apartment when she seen the furniture in the house. If you don't see your furniture, it's not your house.
Former police officer is on trial for murder. The victim, a man who was shot to death in his own apartment. Omar Villafranca reports the former officer insists it was all a mistake. She'd gone to the wrong door.
The noise from the door must have scared him to death.
Former Dallas police officer Amber Geiger sat in court as prosecutors accused her of murder and being more concerned about her career than a dying Botham Jean.
In the 5 minutes that she's on that 911 call, as Bo is bleeding to death right down there on the floor, she should have been giving 100% of her attention to that man.
Oh my God. I'm sorry.
Geiger was off duty, but still in uniform when she shot Jean. Her lawyers say Geiger worked.
Peace to the brother. Peace to my brother, Quinn Emerson. Thanks for tapping in.
A 15-hour shift and thought Jean was burglarizing her apartment.
She knows she's made a tragic mistake, but it's not out of evil.
Jean was from St. Lucia. His parents, Bertram and Allison, spoke
If I'm cleaning my gun and I shoot somebody, that's not out of evil. But if that happens, my ass is going to jail. And if you're a trained officer who's trained to pay attention to detail, and you walk into somebody else's apartment and shoot them dead, and you say you thought it was your apartment, you have no business being a cop because you don't have the ability to pay attention to detail.
Exclusively to CBS News before the start of the trial.
And also, we must be mindful. I'm for supporting our brothers and sisters when something happened. Like I said, we have to develop a nervous system and feel each other's pain throughout our people. But when all of our people support a family for the duration of their pain and suffering, and they go to trial with this thing, and then the brother of the murdered brother wants to hug the woman who shot her brother to death, and they have this forgiving spirit, that disturbs me. That disturbs me. And then you have a sister who's a bailiff rubbing the hair of a murderer. And then you have a judge come down off a bench, give a murderer a Bible and hugs a murderer when she's supposed to be very critical and pissed off at a murderer? You have a person who's charged with serving and protecting, and she killed a citizen. A judge is supposed to be mad about that. And it was someone who looked like us too. That's the mockery of it all.
I've prayed that God would help me to sit in the same room with my son's killer.
I'd like to meet her and ask her, what went wrong? How you took him away from me.
More than a year after losing her son, Allison Jean says she just wants to hear the truth.
Just come clean.
What would that do for you?
I'm looking forward to the trial as one step to closure.
The jury is made up of 8 women and 4 men. 5 of the jurors are black. Now, if she's convicted of murder, Geiger could spend the rest of her life in prison, and she is expected to take the stand during this trial. Margaret?
And the crazy part, they gave this she-devil a slap on the wrist for murder. And some of those people were our people, and they questioned one juror who was a young lady, I'm going to say sister with quotes, and she said that she couldn't give this she-devil life in prison because she already has to deal with the fact that she killed somebody, so she can't put a additional burden on her. Something is definitely wrong with our people.
Omar, thank you.
Now, of course, we know what happened with the brother in Florida, the airman that was shot.
New details. The family of a black U.S. Air Force airman who was shot and killed by deputies are hoping to clear his...
We're going to revisit. We got to stay on this. We have to not have an attention deficit. That's why we forget about it, and then it happens again and again and again. We have to stay on this.
His name tonight. They claim the deputies busted into his apartment there in Fort Walton Beach.
Yeah, the sheriff's office claims they were responding to a disturbance between a man and a woman. Fox 35's Marlisa Goldsmith is live in the Alert Center tonight. So Marlisa, his family is pleading for some answers.
They are, Luann. Senior Airman Roger Fortson was shot and killed by an Okaloosa County Sheriff's deputy last week. His family is being represented by civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump, who maintains deputies targeted the wrong apartment and is calling the shooting a, quote, unjustifiable killing. All right, so here's what we know about the situation tonight. Attorney Crump says Fortson was FaceTiming a woman when he heard a knock at the door. When he didn't see anyone through the peephole, that's when he grabbed his gun. He asked who was outside and got no response and saw his peephole was blocked. That's when the attorney says a deputy barged in, saw the gun, and shot Fortson 6 times. He died at a hospital a short time later. Crump maintains Fortson had constitutional rights to have the gun in his home. In a press conference this afternoon, his mother had this message for the sheriff's department.
To the sheriff's department that took my gift, that had so many accolades inside of him. To err is human and to forgive is divine. If you have a heart, if you have a niece, a nephew, any young person in your life, tell the truth.
Peace to my brother Maybach. Thanks for tapping in. Good brother. Salute, King.
Truth about my son.
In their own press conference about the shooting, Okaloosa County Sheriff Eric Aiden maintains the deputy announced himself twice when they got there, and Fortson acknowledged law enforcement before arriving at the door with the gun in hand.
On the correct door, he did not cover the peephole or otherwise obscure its view in any way.
Aiden did not offer any other comments about the case. The deputy.
I agree with that, Quentin. I think that the fact that this young brother was young and he was a senior airman at such a young age and was able to have what those who live around him have, equally. Let me tell you something. When we start moving into places, trying to get away from our people because we think we're moving in a better neighborhood, but we want to live amongst our enemy. This is what happens when we want to live amongst our enemy. They set us up. They knew this brother was there alone, and they sent that cop there. The cop should have never went there with his gun drawn. Should have never had his gun drawn. That's what I said earlier in the stream, that they will go to a non-violent situation with their gun drawn because they are blood seekers, bloodthirsty devils.
The deputy involved is on administrative leave, and we're working to get the body-worn camera footage from the sheriff's office tonight. Both FDLE and the local state attorney's office are investigating the shooting. Live in the Fox 35 Alert Center, I'm Marlisa Goldsmith.
Now, it gets worse. A woman gets shot going into her own apartment.
Some deputies in Houston are on leave after shooting a woman who was
shot a woman who was, she locked her keys in her house, so she had to break in her own place. They never stopped and asked her what she was doing. What they do is open fire
into her own home. It turns out she had forgotten her keys. Gage Goulding reports, we do want to give you a warning. You will hear gunshots in this story.
This video filmed by the same neighbor who called 911. He's standing right below the porch where two deputies are shooting.
Kind of like 17, 18 shot. And you see how much glass is broke. Yeah. So when I'm downstairs, I'm just hearing boom, 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 boom.
You called the wrong people. You should have been a concerned neighbor and seen what was going on. We have to do this. We can't call the cops because it's always the end results when we call the cops. We have to have an alternate solution, alternate protection for our people in our community. Because if we call our open and consistent enemy, this is always the end result.
Boom, boom, boom.
The result, even more shattered glass, wood siding that looks like Swiss cheese, and bullet holes in the front door that are now peepholes. Inside, several bullets hitting a 28-year-old woman.
They can see through the window and see that someone's approaching the door holding a weapon.
But she's not a burglar. Actually, she lives here. At the time, no one knew that, including the neighbor who called 911.
And I met the girl that stays up there. I met her yesterday, and I didn't see her car. So I just was like, damn, well, I thought maybe somebody was breaking in.
Deputies ordering the friend who wasn't hurt out.
We have to stop calling the cops. This is the same thing that happened to Tatiana Jefferson. Her neighbor seen her door ajar, called the cops, but she's home. She's playing video games with her nephew. She see lights and stuff all in her backyard and people in her backyard. So she go to her window with her registered gun. And the cop, as soon as he seen her, says, "Show me your hands," and open fire, killing her. We got to stop calling them.
Out of the apartment.
I live here. I don't have any weapons.
Putting her in handcuffs. Deputies and paramedics walking the woman they just shot down the stairs. But here's where the story takes a turn. Robert called 911. However, deputies, they were already here. A separate burglary call came in just after 2 a.m. That turned out to be nothing. However, when they went up these steps, they walked right into what appears to be nothing but a big misunderstanding.
They went upstairs, guns drawn, ready to go. And I would have done the same thing, you know?
The sheriff's office says a gun was later found inside the apartment, which is believed to be the same.
This Negro is going to regret the apologist mentality he have when his stupid ass fall a victim to them same cops.
Same gun the deputy saw the woman holding. She has since been released from the hospital. The Harris County Sheriff's Office is investigating.
Now, moving on. It goes on and on and on. Shooting people in their own apartments.
Questions are swirling over a deadly police shooting in Prince George's County.
An officer shot and killed a man last Thursday while the officer was responding to an alleged break-in at an apartment complex in Suitland. News 4 learned that the man the officer shot was actually inside his own apartment. Our Mauricio Casillas has been piecing together what happened before the deadly shot was fired.
Police dispatch audio shows the call for an alleged breaking and entering at the Windham Creek Apartments came in at 5:25 last Thursday evening. The Maryland Attorney General's office, which is investigating the shooting, says Officer Braxton Shelton entered the apartment without another officer. Just over a minute after the call came in, 31-year-old Melvin J. was shot. He was pronounced dead in his own apartment.
Get all units to him. Shots fired.
Are you injured?
I'm okay.
Okay, come forward.
The Attorney General's office says there was some sort of verbal exchange between Jay and Officer Shelton. What was said or done before the shooting is a mystery for now. Investigators say 2 guns were recovered near Jay, but it's unclear whether Jay was holding one or if the guns were his.
We don't know that at this time. Is there any evidence that he broke into the apartment?
Immediately after the shooting, Prince George's County Police Chief Malik Aziz briefly spoke to reporters and provided limited information without taking questions. Police first described Jay as the break-in suspect, but the Attorney General's office did not identify him as such. We're told the person who originally reported the alleged break-in was also a resident inside the apartment, but it's unclear what relationship that person has to Jay. Melvin J's family tells News 4 a vigil was held in his honor here at the Windham Creek Apartments over the weekend. Family members say they're not yet ready to talk about what happened. Officer Shelton's body-worn camera footage will likely be released 20 business days after the shooting. Shelton is on administrative leave. In Suitland, Mauricio Casillas, News 4.
News 4 reached out to Prince George's County Police to clarify if Officer Shelton followed the department's policy by entering the apartment without backup. We're still waiting to hear back.
The police often go to the wrong apartment and shoot people. Often go to the wrong apartment and fatally shoot people. They're so trigger happy. It's crazy. Find this video real quick. Why is it? They go to the wrong house, see somebody there. Don't ask some
Another
questions.
terrible case of going to the wrong address. It's video shocking everyone who sees it. Police fatally shooting a man when they were supposed to be at the house across the street. They realized their mistake, but at that very moment, the homeowner appeared at the door with a gun and the officers opened fire.
Hands up! It's heart-stopping police body cam video of a shocking mistake. The tragic incident began when cops answered a domestic violence call.
Police department.
There's no sign of trouble at the house, and the officers realize they're at the wrong address.
It might have been 5308 right there.
It's not 5308.
That's right, they're at 5305. The 911 call was to number 5308 across the street. That simple error proved fatal. The officers from the Framingham, New Mexico Police Department are backing off when suddenly the homeowner opens the door and he has a gun. Hey, hands up!
They didn't have to do that.
Shots fired.
They didn't have to do that.
The 52-year-old homeowner, Robert Dotson, is shot dead. But the shooting isn't over. His wife, Kimberly, comes to the door with her own weapon, not knowing those are cops outside.
Please don't.
Man!
Shoot her too, huh?
Fortunately, she was unhurt. As cops enter the home, a terrified daughter is actually calling 911 from her bedroom.
There were gunshots in the house and my dad is shot. You heard gunshots and then what? My mom was screaming and she was saying like, oh my God, screaming, oh my God.
Former NYPD Commander Joe Giacalone analyzed the video for Inside Edition.
It's not as if somebody was knocking down the door. They knocked down the door and that was it. They weren't crashing it. They weren't trying to break into the house. Either, look through the window, don't answer the door at all, or call 911 at this point. But don't exit your house holding a firearm.
The 3 officers involved have been placed on paid leave, and the police chief is apologizing to the family today.
I'm extremely remorseful over the whole event, and I extend nothing but my deepest condolences to the Dotson family.
A total of 3 children were in the home at the time of the shooting. Authorities say the reason why cops went to the incorrect location in the first place is still under investigation.
Goes on and on. You can't call these people. Got to stop calling the cops. They'll come there not to serve you, not protect you. They'll be the one ending up killing you. This is Fort Worth, Texas. When the neighbor called the police and said, Tatiana Jefferson, instead of them knocking on the door and saying, excuse me, are you okay? They're going around in the woman's yard. They're all in her yard. Instead of knocking on the door, they went to the door first. Instead of knocking on the door, they goes in her yard. As soon as they go to the window, she see the lights and stuff. So she go to her window with her gun that's registered. She's in Texas. Nowadays, you don't even have to have a permit to have a gun in Texas. And he just shoot indiscriminately because he sees somebody with a gun besides himself.
Put your hands up. Show me your hands.
It's crazy. That's a bad shooting. Now, the shooting of Breonna Taylor, that was a terrible shooting also. But I'm going to go to one of the worst that I ever seen. This is one of the worst shootings that I ever heard of.
Explosive testimony today from the grandmother of Ayanna Jones. She's the one, defense attorneys say, hit Officer Weekly's gun during a raid, causing him to fire it and kill little 7-year-old Ayanna.
But her emotional outburst today caused
the cop blamed the grandmother. Detroit police were filming an episode. Greetings to the sister, Sharon Walker. Thanks for tapping in. The police, Detroit Police Department, were filming an episode of the First 48. They were looking for someone who had, committed murder. Of course, it's First 48. And they went to the wrong house. Mind you, they went to the wrong house. And Ayanna Jones, 7-year-old, and her grandmother were on the couch. She was laying on one end, the grandmother was on the other end. And this is what happened.
Judge to halt the trial. 7 Action News reporter Anu Prakash joins us live in the newsroom today with the latest. Anu?
Officer Weekly said that the grandmother hit his gun, and that's what caused his gun to go off and shoot the 7-year-old. That is despicable.
Well, Jeff, it was testimony that was really tough to listen to. This grandmother says Officer Weekly fired instantly the moment he entered that house.
I'm laying there screaming, asking somebody to help my granddaughter because he just shot her in the head. And he wouldn't even help her. They turned on the light and seen that she had been shot and carried out the house. Oh, man. Oh, my God. Oh, Jesus.
A highly emotional Myrtilla Jones wails on the witness stand this afternoon during the retrial of Detroit police officer Joseph Weekley. He's accused of involuntary manslaughter.
And look at his face. Look at his face. He don't give a damn that he killed this beautiful baby.
In the death of Jones's 7-year-old granddaughter, Ayanna. It happened in May of 2010 during a raid on a Detroit home as police were searching for a murder suspect. Jones says she was on one end of the couch and Ayanna was sleeping on the other end of the couch closest to the front door when Weekley entered first and instantly fired his gun, hitting Ayanna in the head, killing her.
Why you do it? Please tell me why you come in my house like that.
Weekley's defense has been that Jones lunged at him and hit his gun, causing him to accidentally pull the trigger. Listen as she defended herself and lashed out at Officer Weekley.
You killed my grandbaby. You killed her and you try to blame me. You know I never touched you, Mr. Weekley. You know I never touched you.
And she's still having respect for this bastard, calling him Mr. And he don't even have, he's not even shedding a tear for the baby that he killed. No remorse whatsoever. I have to do this to show our people who we're dealing with. We're dealing with an open.
You know you're wrong. She was only 7 years old. She was only a baby, man. She was sleeping.
Weekley sat stone-faced, and within moments of that outburst, Jones was escorted off the witness stand. On her way out of the courtroom, she continued to shout at Weekley.
I get no sleep. The flashbacks, I wouldn't wish them on nobody in the world. Not even you.
This is an enemy. Know this.
It was so intense in that courtroom. Now, after that, the judge reminded the jury that they are not to decide this case based on sympathy or emotion. Now, because of what happened today, she said they will resume the trial on Monday in hopes of giving them all time to soothe some of those emotions. Live in the newsroom, Anu Prakash, 7 Action News.
Okay, Anu, thank you.
Now this bastard's going to give his testimony on what happened.
At one point, Officer Weekley said he didn't even know that he had pulled that trigger, but he still maintains that the gun went off when Ayanna's grandmother, Myrtilla, hit the weapon during a police raid 3 years ago, a story she denies. Now, Weekley took the stand this morning, often doing his best to control his emotions. He said he thought the place where the 7-year-old was sleeping on the couch was just a pile of clothes. He also didn't realize that the gun fired because Weekley says the recoil was low. In fact, he thought they were under fire. Now, clearly, his testimony is having a strong impact on jurors today. Our Kimberly Craig is in the courtroom, and she tells me that it appears at least one juror wiped away tears as Weekley spoke about his kids. Now, here's how he explained what happens in those critical moments of the raid.
Well, what caused you to pull the trigger then?
The jury is having more sympathy for him as he talked about his children, as he testifying of what happened when he took somebody's child and murdered them. This society is wicked. And we have to understand that we are dealing with an open and consistent. I always say consistent. They've been consistent. This is a open and consistent enemy.
When she hit my weapon down, it was quick. This is all in a matter of seconds. She hits it down and I pull back. And when she hit it with such force, my master grip must have come off the weapon. As I'm pulling down and away, I must have pulled the trigger.
You see how despicable this devil is? He is actually blaming the grandmother for what he did when he shot this beautiful 7-year-old girl. He don't even care. And what's crazy about it, the judge could have sentenced him to life in prison. A black female judge. We can't even trust our own people that think that they have risen above the condition of their people and work in this system. We can't trust any of them. None of them.
Ayana's family members are also in the courtroom, and they are not pleased by what they hear today. At one point, while Weekly described how grandmother allegedly hit his gun, the judge interrupted him to remind the audience that they cannot make any gestures or expressions that could sway the jury one way or another. Now, the prosecution has already rested, and as for the defense, well, Weekly is expected to be their one and only witness. We'll have the full story this evening on Action News at 5. From the newsroom, Smita Kaloki, 7 Action News.
And the prosecution spending a lot of time talking about Officer Weekly's training. There is more to come. Thank you so much, Smita. Our coverage of the Officer Weekly trial continues now on our website. We're streaming it live from the courtroom. You can find it at WXYZ.com. That's at the top of our homepage. Right now.
Yeah, this is one of the worst to me.
Again, with a major settlement reached in the accidental shooting death of 7.
As bad as the Sonia Massey, that's a new one. That's the newest, shooting of one of our people falling a victim to these wicked bastards. That's bad. What happened to our sister Sonia Massey? But this wicked cop busted into the wrong house. And as soon as the first person he seen, he just started shooting and killed the baby.
7-year-old Ayana Stanley Jones on Detroit's east side.
The payout, $8.5 million.
It's almost 9 years ago that the little girl was shot and killed during a Detroit police raid while officers were looking for a suspect in a murder.
Jim Kurtzner is live on Lillibridge Street, where the raid went down, with a look at how they're still part of the case that will never be resolved. Jim?
Heather and Dave, this is the duplex where that happened. It was just after midnight in the dark. Take a look. The suspect police wanted was in the upstairs unit, but police went in through the lower level in this door on the right.
I think it gives the city and the family an opportunity to move on. It's a very large settlement. It's not what I could have won in court.
Exhibit A in the case, this video shot by the A&E TV show The First 48. Their cameras are rolling on the raid, and it's over in just 3 seconds. First, a flashbang grenade, then a single shot that would kill 7-year-old Ayana Stanley Jones.
The police were conducting a made-for-TV Afghanistan raid in a Detroit neighborhood for a simple search warrant that could have been executed without violence, not in the middle of the night, not upon a home filled with children. And they opened the door, rammed the door, and shot a child in the head.
Feiger says there were 4 kids inside. Detroit police officer Joseph Weekly was the first one in, and his gun killed Jones. He was put on trial twice for involuntary manslaughter, both cases ending in a deadlocked jury. The Wayne County prosecutor deciding there would be no third trial, Weekly would go back on the job in DPD.
This motherfucker is back on the job after killing a baby. See, the department don't even see that he did anything wrong. Now, it's, as bad as the judge letting him go, he's not even in trouble with the department. They don't even see him as violating departmental policy. Killed the baby, and he's still patrolling the streets. But I'm not going to even say that.
Family attorney says a special prosecutor should have been brought in.
Prosecutor.
I'm going to say it. The brothers that's in Detroit is allowing him to be in Detroit. I'm going to say that. We got tough talking ass Negroes like Sarasu and Seti that lives in Detroit. He's constantly trying to drill this I'm African comedic bullshit into our head. Meanwhile, little babies are being killed on his watch.
It works with the police every day. It would be like me prosecuting my children. I wouldn't be a very good prosecutor if you asked me to prosecute my children.
Now, the suspect upstairs here, Chauncey Owens, and Ayana's father, Charles Jones, were both convicted in the original murder case that brought the police here. In a statement, the city of Detroit says This case was a heavy burden on the community. It's a fair settlement for both sides, and they hope that this settlement brings closure. Live on the east side, Jim Kurtzner, 7 Action News.
Jim, thank you for the live report.
Now we're going to see the police raid.
The raid video, never publicly released, shows the moments leading up to the death of 7-year-old Ayanna Stanley Jones.
Yeah, said he get on my nerves. That tough talk, but he not doing shit over there. People, babies get
Police
killed.
officer Joseph Weekly is on trial.
Said he brandishing weapons and talking all tough, and that happened on his watch. He's supposed to be one of the vanguards out there in Detroit. He didn't even go to the court and mean mug people. At least go there and mean mug them, letting them know you better do the right thing.
Trial for involuntary manslaughter.
The defense says the movements of Ayanna's grandmother caused Officer Weekly to accidentally pull the trigger. 7 Action News reporter Kimberly Craig is outside the courtroom this afternoon. Kim, today's video critical to the prosecution.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you'll first hear on that video, officers yell police. Then the stun grenade breaks the glass.
If you are first going into the wrong house and you throw a flashbang into the house and you are attempting to stun someone with your flashbang, how do you expect someone to react to a flashbang? That's your, intention, to stun them. But you walked in, Weekly walked in, being overzealous. He wanted to be the renegade because cameras were on them, because they were filming an episode of the First 48. So he wanted to be that renegade, first one in the house, and he ended up shooting a baby. And he's back on the job because he don't see that he did anything wrong, and he can live with himself. He sleeps at night, I guarantee you, because he had any conscience, he had any type of remorse, he would do what that cop did in Dallas after he killed somebody. Have the guts to do that.
You'll actually hear the detonation of that stun grenade, and you'll see the flash. And about maybe 2 to 3 seconds later, you'll hear the gunshot. It's the moment 7-year-old Ayanna Stanley Jones is fatally shot, and not even Officer Joseph Weekly's defense attorney denies it was Weekly who pulled the trigger. This video of the raid and the moments leading up to it were filmed by a camera crew from the reality TV show The First 48.
Good name for him, because he is weak. Weak as hell. Weak as a man, weak as a human being.
Members of the Detroit Police Special Response Team were helping homicide investigators arrest Chauncey Owens, suspected of gunning down 17-year-old Jerrian Blake just 2 days earlier.
Today, we got a Crime Stopper tip on Chauncey Owens at the Lily Bridge address. Put him in a photo array. 2 independent witnesses picked him out.
Is it loud?
Yes.
Is it chaotic?
Yes.
Homicide investigator LaTanya Brooks on the stand, recalling the moments after the raid. She was detaining one man on the ground outside the house on Lily Bridge and didn't realize anyone had been shot.
When the gentleman was on the ground, said that they shot Ayanna, I told him, I said, nobody shot Ayanna.
Prosecutors say Joseph Weekly was grossly negligent when he pulled the trigger on his submachine gun, killing Ayanna just seconds after entering the house. Weekly's defense is that Ayanna's grandmother caused him to pull the trigger when she somehow hit Weekly's gun. And the defense tried to show that the reality TV crew added unnecessary pressure to Detroit police when the higher-ups began allowing them to tag along.
You would never, ever have allowed anybody to come with cameras while you went about your work and the things that we saw on that screen. True?
I wouldn't write true.
How did you feel about personally?
They were nice enough people, but it was very intrusive, I felt, when you're investigating murder scenes.
And coming up at 6 o'clock, you'll hear what critics of these police raids say was a missed opportunity to arrest Chauncey Owens. And they say it has to do with those TV cameras that were along for the ride. We'll have that part of our story coming up at 6. Jeff, back to you.
Kim, I know Ayana's mother was on the stand yesterday. Who's going to testify tomorrow?
We actually expect some more officers to take the stand, but also Myrtilla Jones. She is Ayana's grandmother. And remember, she was on the couch when 7-year-old Ayana was shot, and her movements are critical to Weekly's defense.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Kim, thank you very much.
You call for help, call 911 because there's an emergency. Expecting help, we don't get help. We get murdered.
We're popping. Big door section. Oh, this ain't working. All right. Knife in his hand. Knife in his hand. Watch crossfire. Watch crossfire.
Newly released body camera footage shows the moments leading up to the death of 22-year-old Christian Glass, who was shot and killed by police during what may have been a mental health crisis.
I have to kill some skinwalkers.
They don't care. They call the wrong people for mental health issues. The police are not the people to call for mental health issues. You call someone who's an expert at mental health issues, not the police. The police don't have any compassion. As a matter of fact, they'll come and make fun of this very person. They'll make fun of him or her if they're having mental health issues. And they don't care nothing. They won't think a second about killing them.
I'm gonna have to kill some skinwalkers. Can you stay on the phone with me?
On June 10th, Glass called 911 after crashing his car. He told dispatch he was stuck and needed help getting out.
Hello, 911.
I'm in a vehicle. My vehicle got stuck in a really bad way.
About 3 minutes into the call, Glass began referencing skinwalkers, which are witches in the Navajo culture.
Do you know what a skinwalker is, man? They might just go by. I might be lucky.
Okay, can I get your date of birth real quick?
I'm so lucky. Oh, I'm so lucky.
At another point, Glass tells the 911 operator that she is his light after he's been frightened by a sound outside.
I had a spiritual awakening a few months ago and came out of my 10 years of depression, and I've just been, come, please help. That's not good sign. What's that beat? I love you.
Long from this video. It's lengthy and it's not about my people. I feel bad up there he got killed, but this is about my people.
Say her name. Breonna Taylor. Say her name. Breonna Taylor.
A moment of celebration for the family and friends of Breonna Taylor. 4 current and former Louisville police officers have been arrested on federal charges in connection with Taylor's killing in March 2020.
Y'all learning what we've been saying was the truth, that they shouldn't have been there and that Breonna didn't deserve that.
Taylor was killed when Louisville police stormed her apartment looking for a drug dealer. Her boyfriend said police didn't announce themselves, and so he fired his gun at what he thought were intruders.
He had a permit for his gun, Kenneth Walker, Breonna's boyfriend, and the police didn't announce themselves, so he fired a shot. They fired back, and one of the cops who was convicted fired indiscriminately. Didn't care who he hit. He reached around a corner and just fired. He's that much of a coward that he just fired indiscriminately. And they subsequently killed the sister. And then they tried to blame her and tried to criminalize her. She was an EMT. And they tried to criminalize her because of her ex-boyfriend, who they were arresting 10 miles away. But they were over here at her house trying to conduct another raid looking for him when she had moved on and was far removed from him, but they tried to bust into her house. And the brother had a permit thinking there was an intruder. It was like after 12 midnight. They're in bed.
Police shot back 22 times, hitting Taylor in the chest. Federal prosecutors say police knew they didn't have the evidence to justify raiding Taylor's home, but they did so anyway.
Earlier today, I spoke with the family of Brianna.
They didn't have a warrant. And they also tried to say that contraband was being delivered at the sister's house. And they tried to involve the Postmaster General. And the Postmaster General said, hell no, you're not going to involve me, because if anybody knew firsthand that there were contraband being delivered at Breonna Taylor's home, it would be the Postmaster General. And he denied it. He denied everything that the police said.
Breonna Taylor. This morning, they were informed that the Justice Department has charged 4 current and former Louisville Metro Police Department officers with federal crimes related to Ms. Taylor's death. Those alleged crimes include civil rights offenses, unlawful conspiracies, unconstitutional use of force, and obstruction offenses.
The officers are also accused of plotting to cover up their behavior. If convicted, they could get up to 20 years in prison for obstruction and 5 years for conspiracy and lying. Along with the killing of George Floyd in May 2020, Taylor's death led to protests across the United States against both racism and police brutality. The lawyer for Taylor's family called Thursday's arrest a product of speaking out.
Because if we don't fight for our children like Breonna Taylor, who will fight for them?
The city of Louisville paid Breonna Taylor's family $12 million to settle a wrongful death lawsuit. On Thursday, Tamika Palmer said the arrests are just one more step in holding the police accountable.
Today's overdue, but it still hurts.
A recognition that all the legal success in the world won't bring her daughter back. Rosalind Jordan, Al Jazeera.
Of course, they fired some of them, and some went to jail.
Not a new development in the death of Breonna Taylor, the black woman killed in her home as police served a no-knock warrant. Louisville authorities moving to fire one of the officers involved. ABC's Zachary Quiche has more.
Say her name. Her name and her story have become synonymous with the moment and the movement for justice. This morning, almost 3 months after Breonna Taylor was shot and killed by police as she laid in bed, one of the 3 officers involved in the shooting has been fired.
Chief Schroeder is today initiating termination procedures against Louisville Metro Police Officer Brett Hankinson.
The FBI was back at Breonna's apartment Friday, continuing their investigation. Brett Hankinson was part of the team who executed a since outlawed no-knock search warrant back on March 13th. Protesters in the state of Kentucky and across...
It should never have been a such thing as a no-knock warrant. Just busting in somebody's house in the middle of the night or early in the morning without knocking on the door and them letting you in, just kicking your door in while you're asleep. Everybody would be miscombobulated. You got people in all black yelling and screaming at you, waking you up out of your sleep, and they expect you to follow instructions. That's done on purpose to justify someone making, because if you don't know who it is, you're thinking it's an intruder. Of course, you're going to reach for what you have to protect yourself, and that's to justify killing you.
Across the nation have called for all the officers to be fired and charged with murder.
The Public Integrity Unit determined that he used excessive force and was reckless in firing the shots into Breonna's home.
With pressure mounting, an incident report was released last week. It details Taylor's injuries as none despite her death. The Louisville Metro Police Department also checks no when it came to the question of forced entry. Authorities say Officer Hankinson showed extreme indifference to human life, and then
they checked no and made it seem like that they opened the door for them for the sister to be shot in the chest. They opened the door, then Kenneth Walker fired a shot, making them return fire, shooting the sister. That's enough to have them all locked up and right there alone.
And then his actions were a shock to the conscience. Taylor, an EMT with dreams of becoming a nurse, was fatally killed when she was shot 8 times.
I think it's insane. Why would you want to enter into
Fatally killed, fatally shot. Fatal means you were killed.
a home in the middle of the night without announcing yourselves?
The lawyer representing Breonna Taylor's family calls the firing of this officer a small victory, but they're asking for full accountability. Now, those other 2 officers have been reassigned, but they remain on the force. Dan?
Family wants full accountability. Zachary, thank you very much.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots.
Now,
Former Louisville Metro Police officer involved in the death of Breonna Taylor is back on the force. Miles Cosgrove was hired as a deputy for that neighboring Carroll County Sheriff's Office. Cosgrove was fired by the Louisville Metro Police Department back in January 2021 for violating use of force procedures. He's not been charged in Taylor's death.
now a lot of these cops tried to go to other departments, and when it was found that they came from the Louisville department and they were involved in a shooting, thanks to the people who found out and reported it, they were fired. They were terminated. They should have lost their certifications, so they can't go to other departments. We need to stop. They need to stop firing these cops or allowing them to resign before they get fired. Even if they resign, they still should lose their certification, so they just can't go from department to department. Now, the cop that shot Sonia Massey, he was on 6 departments in 4 years. 6 police departments in 4 years. That means he was a liability, and he was dishonorable discharge out of the military. That means he was just no good for any type of service. That's what that means. He's a liability, and he was no good for any type of service. He should have never been allowed to be on that department in Springfield or that sheriff's department. That's in Springfield. I'm going to do some promotion before I wrap this up. I want to thank everybody for tapping in with the brother. I appreciate it. Now, just remember, August 8th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to do the premiere of the network's new music video. Be there. Everybody's going to be in attendance. All the participants, all the MCs who participated in the video and in the songs going to be there. We're going to have us a good time. I'm going to interview them all. We're going to have a good time. We're going to discuss the video and just be there. August 8th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the premiere of the network's new music video. Here's the promo. Also, coming soon, Fire 2, the finale, will be coming this fall. If you haven't gotten Fire, you need to get Fire. Go to Amazon, go to books, type in FYRE, Fire, and purchase my wife's book, Fire. In order to understand what's going on Fire 2, the finale, you have to get the book Fire, written by my wife, Angela King James. Get the book Fire, and I guarantee you it's a good read. She's working on Fire 2, the finale, coming this fall. Here is the promo.
Get your copy of Fire. It's definitely a must-read. If you enjoy hood books, this one is it. Just like the title of the book, it's officially Fire. Get it on Amazon, paperback or Kindle.
Here's the promo with the narrative.
The once goal-driven, ambitious Sapphire turns to the street life after the sudden death of her big brother Dre. Dre's best friend Devontae tries to honor his homeboy's last request of looking out for his baby sister. A rebellious Sapphire makes it very difficult for Devontae to carry out his promise.
In order for you to understand what's going on with Fire 2, the finale, you have to get Fire, written by Angela King James. A very good read. But before I go, I want to say peace, respect to my brother T. Riggles. Peace, respect, learning and building. Greetings, salute, peace, respect to Sharon Walker, my sister. Peace to my good brother, respect to Voodoo Child. Respect to my brother, Big Dog Philly OG. Peace and respect. Peace and respect to my brother, Maybach. Peace and respect to my brother, Quentin Emerson. Peace and respect to my brother, Dangerous Music. Peace and respect to my sister, the true daughter of darkness. I want to thank you all for joining me this evening. And we remember, we have to keep remembering this, because they expect us to have a short attention span and not remember. They expect us to do that, and they expect us to make a little noise and then chill until the next episode. That's what they expect of us. We have to always remember. I have people that I know personally who were killed by police in my city, male and female. Peace, respect, honor to my good brother Voodoo Child. I got to do one with you, brother. I have to do one with you. We got to keep remembering this, because, again, I've always said that we have to develop a nervous system throughout our people, meaning that when one of us is in pain, we have to feel that pain and be there for each other. Who we call in an emergency are not coming to help us. They're seeking what they can devour. And these bloodthirsty bastards don't mind victimizing us and our families. We've seen that they've shot a 7-year-old and didn't even shed a tear. Respect to BB Bake Shop. Thank you for tapping in. We have to understand that they don't care nothing about inflicting pain. They do it so willingly, and it don't take nothing for them to do it. It will escalate in a matter of seconds if you don't comply with them, even if they know emphatically that the the requests or orders, most case scenarios that they are asking of you is unlawful. If you don't do it, they will get violent. And I'm also saying value your life. Value yours over theirs. If you feel it's about to go down, the first law of nature is self-preservation, even when it comes to them. Protect yourself against whoever it is that will come after you to try to do you harm. Regardless of who it is. We can't focus on, if we keep focusing on who we are, our numbers is going to dwindle. Let us just be who we are and increase our rank and file. Because I'm going to say it like this. Any one of us would do when it comes to them bastards. They're not going to holster their gun just because they find out you are Aboriginal or indigenous or from anywhere else on this planet. They're going to look at you and see how you look, and that's enough for them to kill you. This is your brother Nasir. This is the Enemy's Public. Like, share, subscribe. Leave a comment in the comment section. And until next time, peace.